Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So happy to be here to share more knowledge and more experience with reference to the retail sector in South Africa. Before we get started, thank you for joining me. Can you please hit the subscribe button, share this video with all your entrepreneur friends who are in the sector of either making a product or selling a service that's relevant to the retail industry in South Africa. Everything I talk about is within the South African context. So please hit that subscribe button, hit the share button, and it would really mean a lot to me if you can make a comment or ask a question, with reference of what I'm going to be talking about today. So today my topic is why should a buyer, right? Why should a buyer even take the time to look at your product, okay? So I just want to start off by saying that everything that I'm talking about is with reference to the retail sector in South Africa. To give you a very quick background, I used to be a buyer, which is a merchandise buyer within the retailers in South Africa. All the big retailers, I've worked for them. So my primary job was to make sure that I secure product on time or procure product on time and to reach the shelf on time for the customer to be able to purchase the products that they are looking for. And another purpose for my job was to make sure that I give the customer exactly what they're asking us for, right? So we're fulfilling a service to the customer of providing them the products that they need in their homes or they want to put onto their bodies, which is clothes, or products that they want to use for personal care and hygiene. So my question today is, why should a buyer even take the time to look at your product? I asked this question for a reason, because a lot of the entrepreneurs who are manufacturing products or are making homemade products at home think that the actual person within the value chain of retail to speak to or to look at their product is the retail buyer or the retail merchandiser, all right, or the category manager. A lot of the time, or 90% of the time, that is not the correct person to actually direct your product to. I asked this question for a reason. And the reason for that is that all the suppliers that I've actually spoken to, or my clients that I deal with, people who come to me and ask for assistance for me to help them to penetrate a market, they haven't really done their research to understand the dynamics and the team that is formed within a department of the category that you are interested in. There are so many tools that you can use to find out who is within that department, who forms their team, and what are their responsibilities. Entrepreneurship is not a joke. If you're here not to be the best within your sector, you might as well rest. Because the big boys, the big players know how to dominate their departments. So I'm going to try keep this conversation as specific as possible so that I don't miss the point that I'm trying to make. So again, my question is, why should a buyer even look at your products for the product category, all right? So the purpose of a buyer in their role, right? So now let's be specific. Let's talk about a supplier trying to penetrate a Woolies in the, let's say, footwear and accessories department. So this particular supplier supplies leather handbags, leather wallets, and leather belts. Okay, they have a nice assortment. They offer three different types of product. So they feel now, okay, I want to approach a retailer in order for me to supply that particular department. Great. So as a buyer, when you walk into that role, there are already suppliers who are listed for you to work with. So you walk into your role, you already inherit suppliers that have been on the supply, who have been supplying your department before you even joined the team. So when you then get that role and you work within that team, you already inherit suppliers that are seen as not only, been in that supply chain for a while, but are deemed as reliable because they have a track record and have been supplying that particular department leather handbags, leather purses, and belts for probably over 5 years, you'll find a lot of the time. And that is because it is quite difficult to find tanneries, suppliers who supply leather and have tanneries in South Africa. Okay? So you approach a buyer and you're like, hi, I have this product for you. But their role doesn't really need or entail for them to even take a look at your product category or consider uploading you as a supplier, because their job is not to fulfill that role. Their responsibility does not cover sourcing new suppliers and onboarding new suppliers. The role of a buyer is to buy product so that when you walk into a store, the stores are not empty. You've got something to purchase. You've got something to go and pay for at the counter that you can take home because you went into that store to select it. All right? So please consider that. Remember that a buyer particularly is not assigned to onboard suppliers. Yes, there are some retailers that expect you to do that. And a lot of those retailers that expect for their buyers to onboard new suppliers are mostly fast moving products like FMCGs for personal care, color cosmetics, perfumes, etc. But a lot of the fashion retailers do not expect their buyers to do that. Point number one. And then point number two is that then who is the person responsible within that category to look at new suppliers? But before I address who is the important person to look at the product, to be able to put forward to the buyers, right? To say, okay, here's a new supplier. I just want to explain something, within the buying process. So as I was explaining, there are suppliers that, buyers inherit and they work with. So the buyer's role is to manage her department, which includes the existing supply base. So within the buying team, you will always have a designer. Within this buying cycle, right? At the beginning of the season, the buyers do what you call, let me explain it like this. At the beginning of a season, buyers always look what happened previously in the past season, which influences the season that they are going into to do that buy. So those suppliers that supplied the department, which I was referring to in the leather department, they have now privilege to see their sales. They can review their sales as often as they like, on a daily or on a weekly. Those sales will tell the supplier and the buyer what is the fastest moving product, what color it is, what shape it is, how much it is, and how many units are moving, within that season it's trading. Then within the buying team, now to backtrack, within the buying team, you have something that you call a designer. The designer also has knowledge of this data that I just referred to, right? Because data is king. Data can really assist you as a buyer and a supplier to always be on point, to always know what's happening in the market, and to always know how your customer is reacting to your product, and to also you can guess that what trend is going to be taking place within the next season. Then within the buying team, there's a designer. Within the buying process, there's always a suppliers and buyers like design conference type of thing, where the suppliers are invited to come view what that particular department has identified as the trend for the new season. And what new suppliers don't know is that they don't know what has been earmarked as what is going to be hot next season, which already puts you on the back foot because you're not being fed trends by the designer. Very important. If you get what I'm saying, you will get what I'm saying. If you want to penetrate a retail chain, can you identify who is key in the buying role? The buyer doesn't have time for you, nor is it their role to upload you as a supplier. But the people who are of influence within this chain is the designer, who holds the data for what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. And then the most key person within this chain sits in the quality teams, sits in the sourcing divisions. Those are the people who upload, who are responsible, who it is their key responsibility to search for, to find new suppliers who will, be presented to the buyers. Then the buyers will sit and have an opportunity within their buying cycle. So within the buying team, you also what I've referred to before as a planner. So the buyer only ever has so much space or so much OTB. OTB is called out to buy. That's their money that they can use to buy products. So they have so much budget to be able to test a new supplier, to see if they're going to be a successful supplier and be able to meet the supply and demand of that particular product. So yeah, I have so much things that I want to share with you within the retail space. I'm the retail whisperer, the retail master. So thank you so much for joining me on this particular topic. Please make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share this videos with entrepreneurs in South Africa who want to penetrate the market. If you want to work with me, if you want to contact me, my details are in the description. Drop me a mail, drop me a message, and I just want to say thank you for always coming to watch and hear what I've got to say. Love my job. Love you guys. See you in the next video. The next video, we're going to tackle something even more important and even more specific as to who is the sourcing manager, who is the quality assurance team, and why are they so important in the supply chain, and how can you get a hold of them. Cool. Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye.